everybody, and welcome back. We have a little bit different setup today, and that's because I'm going to be highlighting one of my most prized possession in my entire collection, and that is the complete Horus Heresy series from Games Workshop and Black Library. And when I say complete, there's obviously a few things that are still on the way and to be released, which will be added into this. But with the release of the final book of the Horus Heresy, I figured it would be fitting to do a nice overview of something I've been working on for the last 10 plus years. So before we get into the weeds, while we're zoomed out here, one of the things people always ask me about is the bookcase itself. And about 5 or 6 years ago, I figured I was very invested in this series and I needed a bookcase fitting of the quality of the books I was collecting. So this bookcase, I will put a link into the description. It's really nice. It's a mahogany bookcase and it's got kind of like this reddish blackish color to it. It's obviously very big, as you can see, and it just so happened to have fit the ever-growing series at the time perfectly. You'll see how the Siege of Terra just happened to fit right up there. But like I said, I'll put a link in the description so you guys can look it up for yourself if you're interested and see the price and everything like that. But now let's take a closer look at all the books. We're going to go through this collection. You get a closer look at the bookcase itself right here. It's really nice. I remember trying to get this up the stairs because I'm actually in my bedroom right now, and that's where the bookcase is because I do a lot of my reading at night before bed. But this thing was a beast to get up the stairs. It weighed about 270 pounds, and I originally tried to get it up there myself, and that was a no-go. I do not have Primarch level strength, and I had to get another friend to help me with it. Now, starting over here on the left side, I have all the main hardback books from the series. So the 54 of them, they're on each level here, and they're all in order. So you have over there in the corner Horus Rising, and just going across, you'll also see the Siege of Terra maps. I have all the collector's maps that have thus far been released, and I'm sure they'll continue getting released. And for the time being, I just have them laid across the top of the books because that's the way they will fit. Before collecting the hardbacks and before they were out, I was actually doing some of the soft covers, and I started with those. I think it was around 2011 or 12 when I started reading the Horus Heresy. I actually started borrowing the books from a friend, and then the first one I ever purchased myself, actually, was Deliverance Lost. This is not obviously the first book I read for myself, but this was the first one I actually purchased for myself. And then the first hardbacks I actually got were Angel Exterminatus and Betrayer. And then I started getting the hardbacks directly from that point on. And when they started to re-release the hardbacks, I went back and I got all the rest of them. In this row right here, you'll see a lot of the little special edition supplementary novellas. Okay, and I had gotten, I know it's hard to see right there, and I had gotten all the novellas before they started collecting them later on in the anthologies. I know a lot of times people read anthologies and they're like, why wasn't this book released first? But they actually were initially, and it made more sense as you were reading them. But there's some cool ones in here, like for example, this Ravenlord book that was released by itself had this really cool black glossy foil on it, and I remember reading that, and that was kind of like the beginning of the limited editions, and probably when they knew like releasing the limited editions would fetch them so much money. There's some random Black Library anthology events over there. And coming down, you'll see, more of the books, but I'm going to highlight a couple things. I have that Betrayal of Calth box set, which came out with the release of the first Horus Heresy game box set. Knowledge is power. Down here at the bottom, I have the rest of the books, all the way up into the Buried Dagger. I also have a couple random books like this Titan graphic novel by Dan Abnett, as well as this Emperor's Might art book that was released. This is more of a 40K book, but I just have it sitting over here because it fits. Now, continuing on to the bottom, and this is a stack that a lot of the gamers will enjoy out there. I have all the original black books, and I was getting these at release. I actually don't play the game, but I follow the game very closely, and I'm very big on the lore. So the black books had some awesome lore in it. And then next to the black books, you'll see the new edition rule books. I got the special edition of the newest Horus Heresy rule book because it kind of fit with the black books. So I wanted to make sure to get that for the bookcase. As well, down here, there's a couple of my favorite books. You have the Mercrag's Honor graphic novel book by Dan Abnett. This is the follow-up of Marius Gage chasing down Cor Ferron in the Warp. And then the classic Collected Visions Horus Heresy book with all that original iconic artwork, as well as the artwork. It has some of that original lore excerpts in there, and it's a really cool book. I know they've made a couple newer versions of these, but the original is just special to me. Now, moving up to the next level, we got a couple random things over here. The bookmarker of I Was There the Day Horus Slew the Emperor. I had planned on breaking it out when I was reading the final books into the series just for immersion, but I ended up just keeping it in the box. I also have some of the original CDs as they were coming out. A lot of these focused on Garrow, and they're pretty cool, and you can get all the audio versions of these. They're included in the anthologies as well. Another unique thing I have right here is the Horus Heresy map of the galaxy. This was released alongside the game, and I'm a big map guy, cartography guy, and this is really cool just to lay out. It's not like the quality of the Siege of Terra maps, but it does have everything on it, so really like this. I think I featured this in one of my original Horus Heresy YouTube videos. And then we get to the Primarch series. So I have all the limited edition Primarch books. I have them in order of that they were released. Over here, there is the collected anthologies. This Heirs of the Emperor book essentially has the other three books in there, but I ended up getting it because it had like 2 or 3 new stories in it, and I didn't want to miss out. Then you have the Primarch novels, and you have the rest of the Primarch novels right up here. These have been great, some better than others. Off the top of my head, some of the ones that stand out to me, I really liked Perturabos, I really liked Angron's, Conrad Kurz's, were all very good. I'm actually still finishing the Sanguinius one, and then I will have read everything. Then I'll have read everything on this shelf. Oh, and I missed one thing over here. This was the Lupercal's War Horus Heresy Anthology. I purchased this just because, but then I realized everything in it had already been released, and I had read it. Continuing up a little bit, there's the character series with the Primarchs. You got Valdor, Luther, and Sigismund special editions right there. They were all pretty good. I think I like the Luther one the best of those. You have this Chthonia's Reckoning book, which came out as a supplement to the game as well. That was pretty good. I got the limited edition one of those, but it didn't even have like a author's signature in it, so I didn't think it was that special, but still worth reading. The next 2 books are not technically Horus Heresy books, but you have the Angron Red Angel book and the Lion Son of the Forest book. I just got those because I really wanted them, and I have them displayed up here at the Primarchs because they are Primarch-centered books. The Sons of the Forest, unfortunately, wasn't a limited edition. Thank you, Games Workshop's website for that one, but it's okay. It's still a really nice-looking book. And then finally, we have the row up here, and we have the Siege of Terra books all displayed. Now, these are all the collector's editions from the Solar War all the way into the End of the Death Volume 3. And I mentioned this in the beginning, but I was like so nervous that this bookshelf wasn't going to fit everything. And when Dan dropped Volume 2 of the End of the Death, and it was such a thick book, I was very concerned. But with just a little tiny room to spare over here, the third volume fits in. So it's great. I have them displayed in the order that they should be read in. So you got Garo, even though it came out well after Warhawk, it makes sense to read it before Warhawk. And that is everything. That is everything. So there you have it, everybody. My Horus Heresy collection that over the last 10 plus years, though I did spend a lot of money on, it has been well worth it because it's given me countless hours of enjoyment. Now, if I had to pick a few standouts for the collection, I would have to say, obviously, the Siege of Terra series and the Visions of Heresy book are some of my favorite things on there, but you need it all to enjoy the complete series. If I had to pick a couple books that have always been my favorite from the Siege of Terra, it would be Saturnine. That was fantastic. I actually enjoyed most, if not all, of the Siege of Terra books. If I'm thinking about the Horus Heresy proper, I would have to say 1,000 Suns, Master of Mankind, Slaves to Darkness, Fulgrim, Betrayer. I mean, there's a lot that really stand out. There's really nothing that I totally didn't enjoy. Probably Mark of Calth anthology was a little old at that point, and you obviously can't go wrong with the original 3. Favorite Primarchs? I would have to go with, well, we got to go with Sanguinius as just like the ultimate good guy badass. On the traitor side, probably Perturabo. He really picked up a lot of steam toward the end. I thought he was awesome in the Siege of Terra. I thought he was awesome in Slaves of Darkness fighting Angron. And I just liked his demeanor with a lot of stuff. And then kind of in the middle, Magnus, because he didn't do anything wrong. Or did he do something wrong? Magnus was a very tragic character in my eyes. So now that the series is done and you've seen my Horus Heresy collection, please feel free to drop a comment. I would love to discuss Horus Heresy. I go in and browse the Reddit boards all the time, but if there's anything you want to talk about with regards to my collection or just the Horus Heresy in general, stay tuned for more upcoming videos from the Urge Artifacts. And as always, remember, keep on collecting, keep on having fun, and to quote, I wait for you and I forgive you. Thank you.